these are not the most dangerous places on Earth. These are the places you were never supposed to be curious about. Aokigahara is not a forest. At least, not the kind we understand. Feels more like an absence. A place where sound dies before it reaches your ears. The ground beneath your feet is volcanic rock, saturated with iron. So much iron that compasses lie, GPS systems drift, and the human brain slowly begins to fail. People don't lose their way here. They lose confidence first. No birds, no animals, not even wind moving freely between the trees. The silence of Aokigahara is not peaceful. It is the silence after something has already happened. For years, Japanese authorities have avoided releasing the real numbers. Not out of respect, but because every time this forest is mentioned, someone enters believing, I'm different, I'm just looking. Forest rangers find things that should not exist. Shoes placed carefully, never worn again. Backpacks made strangely light. Colored ribbons tied to trees. Markers meant to guide the way back. Most never return to follow those ribbons. Aokigahara does not scream. It does not chase. It does not kill. It only creates a moment where stopping feels more reasonable than moving forward. And that moment is enough. Yungas is not a road. Yungas is a pause. A narrow moment suspended between movement and falling. Here, the mountain never accepted the road. It only allowed a thin line to exist temporarily. The road clings to the cliff like an open wound. On one side, cold rock. On the other, nothing. No ground. No end. Not even a sound to follow the fall. In some sections, the road is so narrow that drivers say when another vehicle passes, there is no space left to exist. Permanent fog, sudden rain, and mud that turns a steering decision into a final one. Here, brakes do not save you. Control is only an optimistic idea. Reports indicate that many bodies were never recovered, not because rescue teams failed, but because going down no longer made sense. The ravines are so deep that the names disappear before the bodies do. Locals still claim that at night, faint headlights appear in the mist, lights no longer connected to any vehicle, not to scare, but to remind. Safety experts describe Yungas as a pure example of human arrogance, a place where speed was chosen over understanding. Yungas does not rush. It does not warn. It only waits for your hand to tremble for 1 second. And this road was built for that second. The Darien Gap is not just a jungle. The Darien Gap is the land's deliberate decision to swallow the path between Panama and Colombia. There is a place where the Pan American Highway does not collapse, does not close, but simply stops, as if something said, from here on, do not come any further. Darien is dense, heavy, suffocating. Swamps that slowly pull your legs downward. Rivers that change their course overnight. Plants whose touch means cuts, not contact. But what truly kills in Darien is not nature. It is the silence that humans added to it. For years, this region has been a passage for those who do not want to be recorded. Smugglers, armed groups, and people who believed this route was shorter. Most who enter the Darien Gap start with maps, continue with GPS, and end with nothing. Reports say that before seeing another human, you hear gunfire, and the bodies that are found are often so damaged that even identity refuses to remain. In Darien, time collapses, days stretch unnaturally, nights multiply, and paths twist in ways that lead you back to where you started, only weaker. Survival experts say Darien is one of the few places where even nature does not pretend. You can negotiate with it. The jungle does not threaten. It does not chase. It does not warn. It simply remains open, endlessly, silently. And once you enter, you are no longer sure what or how much will ever come out. K2 is not a mountain. K2 is a boundary the human body was never meant to cross. Above 8,000 meters, There is a zone the body is not designed for. They call it the death zone. But death here is not an event. It is a slow process. Oxygen is so scarce that every breath becomes a negotiation. To stay alive, the body begins to consume itself. Muscles deteriorate. The brain slows. Decisions are wrong before they are made. K2 is lower than Everest, but far more ruthless. Steeper slopes, unstable weather, and no route that can truly be called safe. Statistics suggest that nearly 1 out of every 4 climbers who reaches the summit never comes back down, not because of a fall, but because the body withdraws its permission. On K2, bodies are not buried, they are left behind, because the weight of the dead is heavier than the strength of the living. They become markers, silent points along a route where someone still believes it is possible to continue. In the death zone, you are still walking, still speaking, still deciding, but your body began shutting down hours ago. Climbers say the most terrifying moment is when you realize that if you sit down here, you will stay here forever. K2 does not scream. It does not attack. It simply adds altitude, grain by grain, until you understand. The problem was never the mountain. The problem was that your body surrendered long before you did. Lake Nyos is calm. No waves, no storms, not even a sound. But beneath this quiet surface, something was gathering that was never meant to be released. August 1986, middle of the night. Entire villages were asleep. No explosion, no shaking, no warning. The air simply stopped working. Lake Nyos was saturated with carbon dioxide, heavier than air, colorless, odorless, impossible to sense. When it escaped, it did not rush, it did not rise, it slid like an invisible curtain, rolling down from the lake into the villages below. People died in their sleep, without screaming, without fighting, some beside each other, some in the middle of the road, some with their mouths open, searching for oxygen that was no longer there. 1,700 people went silent. In minutes, thousands of animals collapsed beside them. No wounds, no signs of struggle, as if someone had pressed a pause button on life itself. When morning came, the houses were intact. Food sat on tables. Lamps were still off, but life had been erased from the air. The bodies looked peaceful, faces calm, because this kind of suffocation does not hurt. It makes no noise, and the brain, until the very end, believes everything is normal. Today, Lake Nyos still looks the same, still calm, still quiet, but beneath it, the gas is gathering again. That is why scientists have drilled pipes deep into the lake to release the pressure, because if it happens again, no one will hear it coming. Lake Nyos does not hunt, it does not chase, it does not scare. It simply takes the oxygen away, and without oxygen, the human body has nothing left to say. In the Indian Ocean, there is a place where, if you enter, the world will not save you. North Sentinel Island is like a trap that has remained active for centuries, unchanged. The people who live here are not primitive, they are not savage, they are disconnected, cut off from history, from disease, from war, from mercy. They know what humans are, and they have decided that humans must not come closer to them. A stranger means contamination, it means slow death, it means the end of a lineage that has survived for tens of thousands of years. That is why there are no questions, no warnings, no second chances. The arrow is released first. Helicopters have been targeted with bows and spears. Boats are turned back before they can explain. In 2006, 2 fishermen made a mistake. Their boat drifted toward the shore. By morning, their bodies no longer looked like bodies. They had become part of the island. In 2018, a man with absolute faith believed his message was worth the risk. Minutes later, that message was buried in the sand. The danger of this island is not its violence, it is its legal silence. If you are killed, no crime has been committed. If you approach, you were warned. And if you make contact, you may carry a virus that could erase an entire people. That is why no one comes, no one is allowed, no one should try, because North Sentinel Island is not a place where humans die. It is a place where humans were never meant to exist.